iOS, it's only sport. Martin Devlin, Lachlan War, legendary All Black captain Sean Fitzpatrick joins us again in Paris here for the World Cup final. Thanks so much again, Fitzy.
Morning, guys. Nice to be with you. And the last time I spoke to you was before the quarterfinal,
Yes, it was. Yes, it was.
and we were both a bit nervous. Love that feeling, hate that feeling.
Yeah, look, I must admit, I'd never felt so uncertain about an All Black game, especially the World Cup before that one, and I was just so thrilled with the performance, and I know that you would have been too.
Yeah, very much so. Golly gosh, I was on tenterhooks, sitting in the commentary box with two Irish greats. Was a little bit uneasy, but yeah, just a phenomenal performance. And could have gone either way, couldn't it? But just a performance out of the bag.
Where does that come from, Sean? I mean, you've bought the All Black jersey on 92 times. I mean, sometimes we're not playing well. Sometimes we're written off, all of those things. Where do those performances from the All Blacks come from? And because it's happened over decades and decades.
Yeah, I think this one, Martin, is a little bit different. You look at our World Cup preparation and World Cups gone by. It's been a 3 year plus build where this team is basically a year build from what happened a year ago. They had to go away and reinvent themselves basically, and they've done a phenomenal job. And it's a different team from even 5 weeks ago. What happened at Twickenham, 8 weeks ago, and opening game of the World Cup. They have gone away, and I take my hat off to Ian Foster and the coaches and the players for what they've done, because that team that turned up against the Irish was near perfection in terms of everything they did. At that stage, they were 100% line-out success, 100% scrum success, and they built on that. And I was just totally blown away, very proud, and hopefully we can do the same again.
Then it comes to Argentina, and we were never going to reach that same level, but we were clinical, we took care of business, and in the end it was a very easy win. So how do we get up from that semi-final against an opponent that didn't test us as much, against a Springboks side that are going to bring everything to us?
This side, Martin, looks like they're on a real mission. They are desperate, as all teams are, to win the Rugby World Cup. But just watching that, I watched that Argentinian semi-final from behind the goalpost, where our studio is on level 1 behind the goalpost. And the organisation, the fitness levels, the trust they have in each other, their defensive work is, in that first sort of 6 to 8, 10 minutes of that game, the defensive work they put in was outstanding. And the way they can turn that around, so both sides of the ball, they are very, very organised, and they have great systems in place. And that's what I said to the coaches. Let's not underestimate the value of what the coaches are doing. What they did in Bordeaux when they went down there in their bye week, what they loaded that week. They're in a good place.
Let's talk about Ian Foster then, because he's been so maligned. I mean, a year ago, he was going to be sacked apparently in Joburg, and we won that test. He hasn't really received any kind of credit for what's been going on. So, but you actually think that you can see his influence in there?
Yeah, the players. When you're on the inside, you understand more than what we do on the outside, obviously. And the players have always been very, very supportive of Ian Foster. And that became very clear last year when they were looking at getting rid of him, and the players stood up and said, no, he's the right man to take us forward. So, he saw some things that weren't right. He brought in Joe Smith, Jason Ryan, and they all seem to be working very well together. And that's what you need. For a team to work well, you need everyone to be very, very good at what they do. And that's what they've done. The coaches are good at what they do. The players individually, you look at the hookers, you look at the line-outs, look at the scrums. And we've got a huge degree of experience in the squad, a huge amount of World Cup caps. And we've also got a blend of youth. The 4 props, for me, have just been standout performers. In that quarter-final and the semi-final. The work those 4 against 2 of the best props in the world, and Furlong the Irish prop have to leave at 51 minutes said a lot about what our props were doing to them. So I'm just really happy with where they're at.
You talked about, when you were All Black captain, about a fear of losing, and I raised that at a press conference before the Irish game, whether the players, whether the coaches thought about that. How important is I don't know, getting whatever motivation or however you do it into your own head for a game like this? And just describe to us what you think that might be.
I enjoy the fear of failure because it makes you work harder. So as long as you're going to harness that fear of failure, it works for you. And the All Blacks now talk about embracing that fear and getting better. And from what I see, they're definitely doing that. And led by the older guys. Half the squad hasn't been to a World Cup before, first World Cup. And I said somewhere before that quarter final, most of those Irish guys hadn't been in a quarter final before. And quarter final knockout rugby is totally different to playing a test series in New Zealand or a one-off test match. And luckily we have players that have played in a lot of World Cup knockout games. And I think that was quite evident, and how comfortable these young kids feel around the environment.
Sean Fitzpatrick is with us on the platform. 87 World Cup winner, and then 95 we lost in that final. So you've experienced both sides of it. Good God, could there be any more contrast in emotions than the two of those?
I look back now, and I had a chat to Francois Pinard, and he said, "Fitzy, how are you, you old biscuit?" But I look back. Obviously 87, but just, it's a great memory to have, and it brings a smile to my face, just that afternoon at Eden Park, in the sun, playing the French. So, and then the difference of Ellis Park, and 28 years on, Martin, it still hurts, but I feel very privileged for being part of something that was, will go down in history as known as the Mandela World Cup, and, what that World Cup did in terms of sport, making a difference, is quite phenomenal. So, yeah, a few good memories, a few bad memories, but I'm really looking forward. We're not even arguing. We're the two greatest rugby nations in the world. We've won 3 World Cups each. One of us will become a 4th-time winner. They're our greatest foe. And may the best team win, because as I think I said to you, we're going to have to play very, very well to beat them, because they are an outstanding team, and they're going to have to play well to beat us.
Are you delighted that this is the final?
I sort of came into it thinking I'd love to play the French, just because we're in France, and I think you can feel there's a different atmosphere around the town without the French being involved. But these two teams, for me, it's an ultimate final, and I'm just pleased that we've got the two best teams in the world at the moment, number 1 and number 2. In the final, and that's the way it should be.
A couple more questions, we'll let you go. Always thank you so much for your time, mate. Contrasting styles, they've named the 7-1 bench split again, so we know what's coming, don't we?
Yeah, I don't know. They may. It depends what they do with Lebock or Pollard. And there was such a huge call of Erasmus last week.
Yeah.
At 31 minutes, just pulled out the hook, and it paid dividends. So. They can play both styles. I think I said to you last time, they're a much better team than what they were in 2019. They were a one-dimensional team in 2019. I think they've shown through this World Cup they can play both games. The one thing that they looked tired last week, and they've had some huge games. I think Ireland, Scotland, France, they've had some massive games. So, I'm sure they'll be up for it. But we're going to play well, that's for sure.
Do you think that we're going to attack it like we did at Mount Smart, that we're going to try and play at pace to start with?
I think we're just going to play the way we've been playing. The way they're orchestrating the defensive systems of the opposition, the way that, the Talias of the world, the way they're breaking around that ruck and just narrowing the defence, and then all of a sudden they go wide. I think the Springboks are a bit different, and, the way they defend is different than we've seen in the last 2 games. But yeah, we'll play it at pace for sure if they let us, and that's where Wayne Barnes needs to make sure that we're they're not slowing the game down to suit them.
All right, finally, then what's going to happen? Call it for me.
I'm feeling. I don't like being confident, but I'm feeling okay. Before the Irish game, I had real doubts about what we could achieve, but I just think we're in a really good space. Everyone's fit. We've got a really experienced bench, which against the Irish was the difference. I thought our bench was so much better than theirs, and we've got guys that have won World Cups as they have, but we're good. So we'll see what happens. As I said, this is a great final, and may the best team win.
Oh, yeah, I tell you what, it's so good, because before the Irish game, I was as nervous as hell, but now you're calming me down somewhat.
It's nice to be nervous.
Devlin.
Have you seen my wiener?
The Platform.